Hello, and welcome to another COMSOL tutorial. If so, what we are doing today is creating a model-to-model diffusion through a porous membrane, and we're going to focus on the physics and the results in this video. So if you need more details into the geometry, please go to the previous tumor ablation probe geometry and materials video. But yeah, we're just going to model diffusion of a droplet through a thin permeable membrane into a water layer below in this video. And we're going to go through the first parts pretty quickly. Okay, so you just want to choose the model wizard. This is going to be a 2D model. And for this one, we want to choose chemical species transport of diluted species. Oh, also, I didn't mention before, the videos before were using COMSOL version 5.3. This is version 5.5, so there may be some slight differences, but if you're able to follow along with what we did before, then you should be able to follow along with this, even with the slight variations. So let's add our transport of diluted species. Go to our study. We're going to do a time-dependent study. And I'll get rid of that. Yeah, that's just from something I was doing before. Okay, so what we want to do is first we want to create our droplet. Oh, wait. First, we want to change our units to millimeters before we create our droplet. And the droplet that we are doing has a radius of 125 microns. So the diameter is going to be 250. That's where it's going to interact with the porous membrane. And the important thing is the sector angle. You want to change the sector angle to 180 because we want a semicircle, as shown here. And now we want to make our, I'm gonna name it real quick. Droplet membrane. So for our size, we want it to be, it'll just be 1 millimeter across. The height will be 0.007. It's going to be very thin. And because we're going to make this rectangle based in the center, because last time I did corner, and I just want to show the how to calculate it for the center this time. So the x will remain at 0 because our horizontal will be the same. So we want this to be centered, everything to be centered at 0. But our y, we want it to be halfway. We want it to be pushed halfway down. So, so the center needs to be to where the top is flush against this droplet. And because our height is 0.007, half of that is 0.0035. It's really that simple. And then next, we want to make our water layer that we're going to be diffusing into. And we still want we want our center to be at, since our height is 0.5257. So what this, too low. Okay, and what this does is it makes the center right here, and it will, the center is calculated because it's also half the height, but we also have to include this membrane. So it has to be below the membrane as well. So make sure that nothing is overlapping. If it were overlapping, you'd be able to see it. Oh, why? Let's see. Oh, it's not overlapping. Let me show you. 0.245. Build all like this. You'd see something like this, and you'd know something was wrong. 7. Okay. So now here's our structure. Here's our droplet, our really thin membrane. You can make pores. There are many ways. There are a couple ways, at least, to make pores in this membrane. You can make them manually, but in this video, we're just going to change the porosity of our material. And then here's our water layer that we want it to diffuse into. This is just going to be a very simple model. You can, if you need to use this module for something else, you can clearly make more complex models, but this will be fairly basic. So now we want to add our materials. Our materials are very simple. We want water. And we want to add our water to, this is one of the areas where 5.5 is different, but it's only slightly different. You should be able to figure it out in 5.3. You want to deselect the membrane for the water because we don't want our membrane to be made out of water, and everything, you know, all your properties will be there for water. And now we want to make a blank material, and we want this in our material properties, basic properties. Let's see, density, dynamic viscosity, and what's important is our porosity. So 0.15, these are properties that were were determined from literature. These are roughly the properties of polyacrylamide, and you can, and yeah, these are just, the porosity is, so the density is self-explanatory, but the porosity, in case you don't know, is this is going to be 15% porous. So 15% of this membrane is going to be permeable. So if we made it 0.3, then it would be 30% porous, and so on. And we're just going to name this material our membrane. Okay, so really, really simple model. And make sure that everything is assigned our materials. Okay, so now here's where it differs from what we have shown from our tumor ablation probe. So we want to make sure that convection is checked. I don't believe that these two settings are in 5.3, so I'm not going to mess with those, even though I feel like mass transfer in porous media should be checked. But because this students that I'm TAing for are using 5.3, I don't want to cause any serious changes. And we just want to make sure that all of our domains are highlighted, otherwise they will be excluded from our model, from our physics model. Okay, transport properties. Material, water, because we are diffusing our solute in water. And our diffusion coefficient is going to be to the 10th and to the negative 10th. So it's just slightly different, except one thing is we want to create a decay in our diffusion coefficient. Actually, let's not do, I didn't do it in the practice, so we're not going to do the decay for this one. But if you wanted to change, for my model, for models, you're typically going to want to cause decay. So you do 2.178, I believe is somewhere, I believe that's the number for E, and to negative 0.0001 or something, T. And what that will do is that will have, oh wait, no, there's no decay here. This is not where we add decay. Never mind. Okay, so our diffusion coefficient, we have our material. So our initial value, what we want to do is have our initial value as 0, because you can see we cannot click any of these domains. So you can make these 1, but everything will start out at 1. So what we want to do for our non-zero concentrations is go here to physics boundaries and choose concentration. And there are ways to do this, but the way that I find is best to do this is to choose the top boundary, and then that way the channel isn't at not the channel, but the droplet at T0 isn't already diffusing. It will diffuse through throughout the droplet within a few seconds, and then be limited by the porous membrane, and that creates a more accurate model. So now is where we add the decay, which is, so our initial concentration is 0.001. Times, so I had that wrong anyway, yes, so I'm flipping back and forth, so I just want to make sure, yeah, I'm just going to get this error a couple times while I'm making sure. Negative 1 e to the 9th, and e negative 9 times t. Yes. Oh, that needs to be in brackets. So basically what this is saying is we have an initial concentration. Wait. Okay. An initial concentration of 0.001, and we have this decay function, which is e to the negative diffusion coefficient times 10 over time, which is in seconds. Yeah, this is because this is not, the concentration here is not being replenished, so this is just to show that. But I'm going to get rid of that for now, just to ensure that this model works for the course of for the purpose of this video. And it's really the time is going to be so low, it's not going to make a huge difference not to have that decay function. But if you're one of the students watching this, I do have the decay function listed in the PowerPoint. So you may use that, or anybody else, if someone happens to watch this, can use that. Okay, so now we want to build our mesh. And for our study, we've gone over this before, so what we want is this to go over 30 minutes. And yeah, this should compute. So this is a simple, so it should compute relatively quickly. And your yours should look like this, except without these streamlines if you're using 5.3. And you can disable these streamlines and change the properties. I'm not going to change any of these properties, but so here we have our heat map. This is about 40% at the bottom, and then it's it's replenishing because we don't have an adequate decay function, but that's okay. This isn't being published or anything. So what we want to do with this now is we want to go to this data set, and we want to graph our results as well. So let's go to results. We want to let's do the horizontal line first. So we are going to make 3 horizontal lines and take the average of them and graph those averages over time. So first we want to see we want to see the average near the droplet or at the droplet. So we could do that there, or we could make it at the bottom of the membrane. But I'm going to do it in the channel at the interface between the droplet and the membrane. So let's make another line and you can name these lines whatever you want, and I want to make these halfway. And you want to show for an accurate comparison, you want to make the line the same length and same place in that in the X plane, but different different places in the Y axis. Okay, and just plot to make sure that you have everything right. It should be right there. And let's make another line, horizontal 3. Negative 0.5, negative 0.5, negative 0.1, and 0.1. Yeah, and there we go. We have 3 horizontal lines, but that's not all we want to see. We also want a vertical, which we only want one of these, and you'll see why. And we want it in the center, so let's start it at just started at 0, and we want it to go all the way down to, oops. So I got that backwards. It's a simple mistake, and so don't feel bad if you make that same mistake yourself. But here is our horizontal line. What we want to do with this line is we want to graph the profile of the concentrations as we descend deeper into the layer at certain points in time, which I will show you how to do right after I do these horizontal lines. Okay, so for our horizontal lines, they can't really tell us anything. Well, they can, but what we want to find out is how these change over time. And this will create a ton of points because we have a continuous value over time. So we don't want that many values, but we do want to know what these are throughout this line. So we want to average the concentration over this line. So we're just going to make 3 averages, one from each of our lines. And you can name them whatever you want, but since I already have my lines numbered, I just figured that I will have my average those same numbers. And you can change your method. I believe it's automatically going to do an integration if it's possible, and if not, it's going to do summation over nodes. So there's really no reason to change that for what we have. For more complex models or just non-continuous lines, you may want to change it, but we don't have anything super complicated here. Okay, so now we want our 1D plot group, and let's see, horizontal. And yeah, so we are doing points over time, and we are doing 3 of them. So, and all we're doing is we are assigning each of these points one of our averages, and it's going to change these over time, as you can already see. And you can hit plot before every one of them to stop this loading. But okay, so now this is what we have. This looks pretty good. But which line's which? How do we know what's what? So we have to modify our legend. So go to legends, show legends, and we have no clue what that means. So we're going to change it to a manual legend. And so this is at the top. You can also tell that one's at the top because it levels out increases quickly and levels out. So that's what you would expect to something that's close to the channel. Middle. And bottom. Okay, so now we have our legend, but it's also kind of in the way. So let's just move that to lower right, and boom, we have our graph the way that we want it. And we could change this concentration to where it's not such clunky numbers if we want, but I think it's fine as it is for our purposes. But if you did want to change it, you could change it by taking this expression and just, let's say you wanted a relative concentration, you could just change it to divide it by the initial concentration. But I'm not going to do that. But you could if you wanted to. Okay, so next we want to do our vertical line. So we have a 1D plot group for the vertical line, and we aren't doing a single point. So we want to do a line graph. And data set, it is our vertical line. So what we want to do, if you just do this at all the time selections, it's really gross looking. It's not, you can't get anything out of that. So what we want to do is, so what it's doing is it's taking arc length, a profile across the entire arc length at every single point of time that was measured, but we don't want that. We don't care about that. And this bottom graph is at t equals 0, which is the 1 star. So I didn't mention it. I didn't say it out loud, but I chose manual time selection right here, and then chose to hit this range button. And we know that it's going to be 0 at t equals 0. So we want to skip that first one, but we want to go by 10 minutes. So what I did here is at t equals 0 equals 1. So it goes, since we have intervals of 1 minute for 30 minutes, our final time is 31 minutes, not 1, since it starts at 1 for t equals 0. And we want to measure it every 10 minutes for from 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and it's going to measure 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and 30 minutes. So we replace it and plot that. And there we go. We have our concentration over arc length at different times. And from here, all we have to do, we have to show our legend in the actual graph here. And this legend, the automatic, is fine because it tells us exactly what we need to know. So this is our results that we wanted to get at the beginning. We're able to see our how it visualize how the diffusion looks. We are able to show how the concentration changes over time at different places in the water layer, and you could add more horizontal lines to get a more complete picture. But I just wanted to do the 3 for this video. And we're also able to show how the concentration changes over the arc length at 3 different points in time. So as it gets deeper, clearly the concentration is going to go down. But if you wanted to see, let's say, where it stabilizes, maybe it stabilizes here at 0.4 because it seems to be leveling out, or I don't know. Well, however you want to, however these results need to be interpreted for your purposes. But also, real quick, just I'll do a quick rundown on exporting these graphs. So you can just right-click, add your images to export. And also, if you don't have the ability to right-click, which I came across before, there's a way somewhere up here how to export the data or the images. Oh yeah, this export tab. You export, which image do I already have? That's the horizontal lines. So results, image. And you can also export the data from this as well. And then you choose concentration. Oh no, this is a plot. You don't want to do that. You want to add the image to export. Yeah. So you can export the plot, but that's not what we want. And you just choose the target file, and you choose the file name, location, all that. And yeah, you do that for all three of these. And yep, that's it. Um, and make sure to click export after you choose the location. But yeah, that's it for this module. And I hope you learned something. I hope it wasn't too complicated. I don't think it's really that complicated. And I hope you accomplish whatever you're trying to do with this model. Thank you very much, and thank you for watching. Have a great day.